two very different things, professional elite level sport and then mindfulness. But then I also get overlaps. I get people speaking to me within the industry about how they can't disconnect, how they can't spend time with their families, the levels of stress. And then you get top coaches, like some of the best in the world, like Mikel Arteta, speaking about how he meditates for 1 hour after lunch every single day. Thomas Tuchel, the England manager, the other day mentioned how meditation is often as part of his morning routines.
Amazing.
Luis Enrique, who walks across the Paris Saint-Germain grass pitches barefoot because he understands the benefits of earthing and grounding. So I think, well, actually, maybe they're not that separate. Maybe mindfulness and football can coexist. Or mindfulness actually covers everything. It's not just, it's not just for hippies and people who are just like at festivals and dancing on the beach, because it actually helps in anybody, in any walk of life, be more centered, to be more productive, to be more efficient, and to be able to focus on what's most important and be the best version of yourself without taking advantage of anyone else, whilst you actually support and uplift other people as well. Melissa, I don't believe there's any ordinary people. I believe that everybody's extraordinary.
Yes.
The only difference is whether or not your story gets to be told or not. That's the only difference. I think everybody's extraordinary. I think everyone's a miracle. Like, everyone's incredible and has their own story. It's something to tell or to share, which many, many others will resonate with or learn something from. Anybody. I'm talking about literally anybody. And I just feel like every story is worth being told or listened to, heard.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating you say that, because you literally are telling your story because of one man who decided to help people read faster.
Yeah.
And look where you are now. Hey, beautiful soul. Yes, you. You are beautiful, whether you identify as female, male, trans, alien, fairy, witch, daughter, son, mum, dad, sister, brother, grandpa, grandma. You are beautiful, and don't you ever forget to be you to the full. Thank you so much for stopping by and clicking on this episode. It has called you for a reason, and that is because it matches your frequency and your vibration, and there is a message in it for you. Before every episode, I sit in meditation and ask for those who are meant to benefit from my conversations and messages be guided to it. So there is a reason why you clicked on this episode. If you resonate with this episode, please help my algorithm and subscribe, like, and comment below, and even better, share this episode with another being. Now, when we share our information, it helps to bring consciousness to as many beings as possible. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for spending your time here and working on yourself to find out who you are, so that you can share and shine your light for others. Now let's dive into this week's episode. Hey, it's Melissa, and welcome back to the Purpose Search podcast, where I discuss all things science, spirituality, and purpose. If you're new here today, thank you for clicking on this episode. I hold conversations with people who have life-changing stories, who are incredibly knowledgeable in their field and aligned with their purpose, which I hope will spark something inside of you to listen to the call of your heart and intuition. Today's guest is Huseyin Bikim, a father of 3 of Kurdish heritage, born and raised in London. Alongside a career in sports technology with professional football, Husyein is also a published poet and spiritual guide whose own profound spiritual awakening transformed the course of his life. Today, he helps others who are searching for deeper meaning, purpose, and a greater understanding of their existence. Welcome, Husyein. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks a lot, Melissa. Thanks for the introduction. Really kind of you.
You're so welcome. Now, before every episode, I start with a short breath exercise to drop us into the body and get us present with the conversation as we come onto screen or we're listening through our ears. So please do not do this if you are driving, but I invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable to do so. But you can also take a soft gaze in front of you, whatever feels most comfortable for you. So today we're going to come back to our body and we're going to focus on the belly breathing. So just take a notice now of where your breath is sitting in your body. Is it higher in your chest? Is it in your shoulders? Is it in your back? Where could it be? Is it in your nose, in your throat? Just noticing where it's sitting right now. Don't need to change anything, just making yourself aware of where it's sitting. Good. Now we're going to take a deep breath and we're going to try and focus that breath to go down further into our body, into the belly. And breathing out. Softening the body, allowing the body to just be, nothing to do, nowhere to be. Taking a breath together, breathing in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathing out for 4, 2, 3, 4. Good. We're going to breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4, and breathing out for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, and 8. Breathing in for 4, 2, 3, 4, and out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Going back to your fingers and toes and back to the screen when you're ready. Thank you.
Thanks. That felt good.
Good. I'm so glad. Right. I want to go straight into it. I want to know what lights you up, what sparks joy in you, Husyein.
Conversations like this, Alyssa, because, since my spiritual awakening, anything to do with consciousness or spirituality for me is just like really, really interesting and amazing having these conversations and helping other people also, like, who are curious into exploring something maybe that they haven't discovered yet and going in search of themselves.
I really resonate with that, actually. I was asking myself this question, I think it was just yesterday, and I was like, it's just talking about the deeper purpose of everything of life, and that is exactly what sparks joy in me. I just get lit up doing this, and it just gives me so much energy. So I love that we have that in common. And I always ask my guests what their star sign is and what their profile is in human design. I know you know your sun sign, so do you want to tell everyone that?
Yeah, I'm Scorpio.
Yeah, and you've got Libra rising and Gemini moon. Do you resonate with the Scorpio? Do you know much about astrology?
A little bit, not too much, but from what I'm told, it makes a lot of sense most of the time.
And your human design is that you are a projector, 3-6, emotional authority, and your life's purpose is the right angle cross of 4 ways, 44, 24 gates, and 33 and 19. And for those of you that are new to human design is a modality that is combining Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, the I Ching, and the chakra system and quantum physics to bring us an energetic blueprint of why we've been brought here to this earth. And yours is to manage situations so that everyone involved has what they need. And it carries a core theme of exploring, experiencing, and understanding the different parts of human life. And I think with what you do is just really on brand here. So do you want to tell everyone a little bit about how you came about to like have your spiritual awakening? Take us back to the beginning of like how this all happened, and what was that like for you, kind of coming from the sports background into this like world of like everything.
If I went back far enough, Melissa, I think, like for a lot of people, I was brought up with interpretations of like religion, which I couldn't fully identify with. It was like a lot of fear, obligation, punishment, and that kind of thing. And it kind of never really made sense to me. And so deep down, I always felt like there was something that I hadn't fully understood, but, I hadn't found it. And then what happened was it basically was like around 5 years ago, around the time of the pandemic, when, there was a lot of hysteria. And my wife is a doctor a specialist in infectious diseases. So she got the virus very early on at the hospital here in Bilbao. And then she had to self-isolate at home. She was in a room. I was like putting trays of food outside the room. We couldn't go next to her. So I was like preparing the food, tidying it up, washing like dishes, taking care of the kids, working all at the same time. So it was a bit of an interesting period. And like a lot of people, it just gave us a time to like self-reflect or think or feel things that we hadn't done for a long time, because it was like a hard stop, which I think actually benefited a lot of people. Obviously, there was a lot of people who suffered as well and lost loved ones and couldn't be with them in their last moments, which was really sad. But my degree is economics. My master's degree is communication, culture, and media. So I kind of know the media and the manipulation a little bit. And I got tired of all of the hysteria and, all of everything I was watching. And so I decided I'd make the best of a bad situation and try something different. And I thought I'd focus on personal growth. So I like, and part of that was turning down the noise. So I came off like social media, shut my accounts or paused them. And I just came off all of my, like, anything that kind of was, was creating too much noise. I just turned it down completely.
I'm so curious though, like what actually like really triggered that for you to go, I'm going to focus on personal growth? I mean, I take my hat off to you because I'm banging on about this all the time on my social media about like focusing, thinking about your emotions, letting them run through you. Disease leads to disease. And I think that for a man to think about themselves and go inwards is so profound in this day and age. And I think you're such a huge role model for a lot of men out there to do that sort of inner spiritual work, whether you believe in spirituality or not, or religion. Just to go inwards to look at yourself is a huge thing. So I'm so curious to know what led you to that.
I think it's just seeing how people were observing things and how much fear there was around and how it looked so dark and gloomy. I thought, is it that bad? Like, I mean, I just thought that there's got to try to make something of the bad situation. So I thought we'll learn something or grow. So it wasn't necessarily even going on an internal journey at that time. It was more about learning something or developing or whatever. And then it kind of morphed into like an inward, like spiritual journey from there. But I didn't actually know how it was happening or why it was happening. I think, like, as you probably understand as well, like when you take the first steps towards this kind of a journey, it kind of starts pulling you in, and like,
Yeah.
puzzle pieces come together and kind of lead you along a path of where you need to go.
Yeah.
And what happened was the first guy who appeared on my screen with his personal growth idea was a guy called Jim Kwik, who's like one of the leading brain coaches in the world. Because I was like worried about memory loss. And I did like a couple of his online courses around speed reading and improving how you use your brain and using your memory. And it was just amazing. He was like, I read his book as well called Limitless. It helps you go through limiting beliefs.
Yeah. I've heard of that book.
It's amazing, Melissa. Like, I really recommend anybody to read it because he's just an incredible guy. And my reading just completely changed. Like, until I'd done his speed reading course, I never really got to the end of books because I'd get bored and just like not finish them. And so in the last 5 years since I've done Jim Quick's like courses and stuff, I've probably read more books in these last 5 years compared to my 45 years like combined.
Wow.
Like, literally, I just go through so many
Wow.
books now, and it's all thanks to him. He just literally, and I'm really mindful of this though, because it wasn't just like doing the courses. I really worked it. I was taking handwritten notes. I was typing them out, printing them, hanging them up on the wall. And so I really ingested all of what he was teaching, and I really took it on board, because I think there's a difference between just consuming things and actually just putting them into action, or being really intentional about what you're learning. And so it was really, really important. And then one day he had like a chat on video, because he wasn't just reading his book or doing his course. I was watching his YouTube videos and watching his socials, etc. And one day he was having a chat with a woman called Emily Fletcher, whose book is called Stress Less, Accomplish More. And she teaches meditation. She lived in India for 4 years. She'd come back to the West. And
she was a Broadway star.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I had no idea. So you know about her as well?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're talking about the same person. And she's now created a method called Ziva.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ziva.
Yeah.
And that's the technique I learned. I read her book.
I would love to have Emily Fletcher on this podcast, by the way. Just putting that out there for the universe.
Yeah, she's amazing. And what was great was that her method is quite simple. It's like adapted for people in the West who are like really busy, and so they don't have time to dedicate hours and hours to meditation. As she always said, there's two. You can't. It's non-negotiable. Once in the morning, once in the afternoon. 15 minutes a day, every day. I never got around to the afternoon one because when the kids came home from school and my wife, and it was just like chaos with a family of 5. So I never got around to the afternoon one. But the morning meditation, when I started it, I hardly missed a single day. And this went on for within 8 or 9 months of my daily morning meditation, I might have missed 2 or 3 days at most. And I think that was fundamental as well, because, that whole process of, it's like a training, isn't it? Like observing your thought, learning what exists beyond your thoughts. And so Emily Fletcher was fundamental in that, the whole meditation practice on this journey. And so this is what I mean by how it started in personal growth and then kind of morphed into a spiritual inward
How did
journey.
you come across her?
Jim Kwik was chatting to her, they're friends, and he was talking on a video. So he was just like speaking with her. And as soon as they started discussing meditation and stuff, I got interested in what she was
Was this
doing.
a live thing while you were
Yeah.
there? Or
Well, no, it was on video, it was on YouTube or
oh,
something.
right, I see, I
Yeah.
see.
There was a conversation between them. And
Yeah.
I read her book, Stress Less, Accomplish More,
Right.
where she like maps out her meditation technique, which is quite simple, to be honest, because a lot of people you'd speak to about meditation, they say, oh, I don't know how to meditate. Luckily, she simplifies it quite a lot. And then after lockdown, I went back to work one day, and John, a friend of mine at work, when I told him about all of this, he was like, "Have you ever heard of Eckhart Tolle?" And I was like, "No idea who he is." So I bought The Power of Now. I read that, and nothing major. Like, I enjoyed reading it, but I mean, there was nothing major that happened at that time. But again, I started watching Eckhart's videos as well on socials, on YouTube, etc., and following him quite keenly. And then I read his other book called A New Earth. And before that, like Ryan Holiday, Ego is the Enemy. And then after this, Neil Donald Walsh and Conversations with God, books 1 to 4. I had a really amazing conversation with Neil once as well, which I can talk about later. But
yeah, I'd love to hear that.
it was amazing. And so this is like 8-9 months into this daily meditation, studying like Eckhart, reading a lot of books, going inward, like deeper and deeper within myself, and then gradually I started feeling like something was happening, like awareness was rising, or the consciousness was rising within me. I didn't understand what that was. I had no idea. But it was like I said, 8 or 9 months into this journey. And then I was holding that Eckhart's other book, A New Earth, in my hand, turning the pages, kind of wishing it would never end, because I was just enjoying it so much. It made so much sense to me. And there was so much hope, about where humanity's going, how consciousness is evolving or expanding, and how, eventually we're going to arrive at a completely different world to the one we inhabit at the moment, which is kind of, I guess, part of our journey and what we're doing as well. And then just one moment, turning the pages near the end of the book, it just happened. It was just like this one moment where it just felt like thousands and thousands of questions that I had around faith, around God, around the universe, around myself, existence, life,
Wow.
death, everything just completely dropped like in a split second. And it was just like this unbelievable download, this just bright light. It's like the first time I'd come into contact with myself, where I
Wow.
realized who I was, beyond the labeling, the conditioning, and all of this, like the name, the gender, the whatever.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow, what just happened? And then, like, it's like you come into contact with your creator as well, where you understand your creator to be. Like the same moment you realize who you are, you kind of come into contact with your creator, in that awakening moment.
Yeah.
And so this was like really overwhelming for me. It was just at the time, it was so intense. And like you said, I didn't have anybody in my local community or my surroundings who I could like speak to, or who would understand this experience, like your partner, your children. They can see you've got this huge grin on your face, but they don't know what happened to you. Trying to put it into words for someone to understand is quite complicated. I'd be like sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night. I'd wake up whilst it was still dark. I'd go up to the forest. I'd be like walking around barefoot. Just this immense connection to like the planet, listening to the birds sing. It was just as if they were like piercing your ear, like eardrums, and just your senses are heightened. Like feel everything so much more deeply. I'd be like walking across the street and looking at people, and I'd be like, I feel like I was looking at myself. Like I feel like we're all one person. We're all one everything just part of this one energy. It was just like an incredible experience. And in that moment as well, it kind of felt to me like it was so loud and clear, like you said with the projector, or the guide, that I'm supposed to help others to also look for themselves and find themselves, but only if they're interested. It's not like an obligation, and it's not to say that because someone has had this kind of experience they're better than anybody else, because you come up to a place where you realize there is no superiority or inferiority. There is, and it helps you to go beyond the ideas of like competition. Like, you're just more interested in collaborations than competition. You don't need to compete, They don't have to be winners and losers. Everybody can win.
100% agreed with every single thing that you said. I love it. I love that it's not coming from my mouth. And oh my gosh, that's so cool. I just find that so fascinating, how it was just this one page that it was just like, I think what I see it as is like, when you're putting on the sticks, I mean, this is a positive way, not in a bad way, but like the sticks on the camel's back, and then one day it just like all crumbles. But like, it's like in a beautiful way, it crumbled to like reveal this, like, I don't know, new animal that came out from it, which is wild. That's such a cool story. I've never heard anything like that before. That's really fun. So I guess within all of that, you feel like you found yourself. Where does like the poetry fit into all of this? And like with you, being in so you're in sports technology and football and your day job, how did you kind of integrate that into your daily life as to like what you're doing now? Like where did that kind of come along the journey?
It was quite complicated, Melissa, like I said, because there's no one around you in your vicinity who you can kind of speak to. I was quite fortunate actually, because I came across this social media audio app called Clubhouse, which is audio only. And you go on there and you can create your profile and you can speak to people all over the world. And that was kind of a lifesaver for me. I mean, it was a lifesaver for a lot of people in the pandemic because it helped a lot of people who were isolated or who were alone or lonely. And it helped them to get online and just speak to people and have conversations so they didn't feel alone. Because, a lot of people who were completely alone and in lockdown couldn't go out suffered as a result, and I imagine a lot took their lives as well, unfortunately. But this really helped me because I could speak to people in the United States, in India, in Europe, all over the world who knew exactly what I was talking about. That we had spiritual rooms. At one time, I remember there was a room where we had 100 people in the room speaking. And obviously you take turns. In most of the rooms, people don't speak over each other and it's like quite like orderly. But that really helped a lot. And then like the integration process is not an easy one, like you just mentioned, like going on this deep internal journey, like understanding yourself from a completely different perspective, like having a self-realization or a spiritual awakening, and then bringing that into your outside world and integrating those two worlds is not an easy process at all. And it was challenging, but I'm really fortunate that, I managed to do it in a kind of coherent way whilst working, whilst maintaining my work and like whilst focusing on it, because a lot of people just like, have a completely different direction and maybe they just go off and do something completely different. But, like I think the home stability, the wife and the children and this kind of environment helped as well and keep the focus.
What if your team's biggest breakthrough came from within? At InnerVox, we create tailored workshops for corporate companies that unlock confidence, communication, and collaboration. We're not your typical training. Our workshops are dynamic, experiential, laughter-filled, and designed to create lasting transformation. We use creative techniques, performance psychology, and real human connection. We help your people build trust and express themselves and perform at their absolute best by listening to their intuition and their inner voice. Because when your people grow, your business also grows. Visit innervox.co.uk and click the link in the description below.
It's been really interesting, just understanding that time as we know it doesn't actually exist as far as I'm concerned, like linear time. I'm sure you can relate, and like everything's happening now, like, and there's multiple me's all existing at the same time or different incarnations of me. And it's just now all in the present moment, how you literally create your own reality, like, and knowing this. And when I look back, I realize I've actually manifested stuff as well, like work or jobs or travel within work. They're things that I wanted to do at some point, which have kind of materialized because I've made them materialize. Whether or not I know how to do that is another thing. But I realized that I've set an intention. I've wanted something to happen, and sooner or later it's happened, because what's important is the clarity behind what you want to occur. And you don't actually necessarily have to worry how it's going to occur, but you just have to have a clear idea of what you want to occur. And eventually, one way or another, it will happen if you take the right decisions and move in the right direction.
Yes. Wow. That's so cool. Yeah, I really resonate with all of that. And it's interesting because you had like the grounding of the family and you had the job and all of that. Whereas for me, I feel like I went so high into the spirits that I was so ungrounded. I found the integration really, really hard, and like it was a shock to the system coming back to material earth. And for me, it was like this polarity of light and darkness, and there was such extreme highs and extreme lows, which I was trying to like integrate, but not knowing how, not knowing who to talk to. So I find that so fascinating that you had this platform, Clubhouse was it, that you could speak with people and yeah, that's really important. I've learned something new today, and I'm sure that a lot of people who would listen to this will appreciate that as well. So go look at that if that's something to speak to others. I really do believe that being in community and speaking to the people that understand you I mean, we pulled soul family today on our card. I'm going to show that. I think that's necessary to bring up today. We've got The Work Your Light by Rebecca Campbell, and Soul Family was pulled today. Call in your tribe. You do not have to do this alone. I think this is for everyone, not just us. Yeah, it's the people who are the same kind of weird as you, people who are your chosen family. They are coming and they are looking for you. And if you haven't found them yet, this is a sign that they are close by. But in order for them to find you and recognize you when they do, it is important that you stop dimming your light and let yourself be truly seen. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I think that is very divine, and we need all of us need to be seen so that we can be heard and we can be truly validated within ourselves. And that's actually something I was talking about just yesterday. So yeah, I love that. So you've gone through this huge inner journey. You
Melissa,
found
I actually forgot as well, because you mentioned the poetry. I didn't actually go into
yes, please
how I
go
got
into
into the.
that.
Sorry about that. But when you mentioned Soul Family as well, you reminded me. One of the clubs I created on Clubhouse was actually called Spiritual Family, and that's where we were having like these big rooms with people from all over the world, like different continents contributing and stuff. It was amazing for a while. And then I kind of got known on Clubhouse for reading Rumi. I discovered Rumi, the famous 12th, 13th century Sufi poet. I just fell deeply in love with Rumi because everything that I read of Rumi, and it was closer to my upbringing in Islam, and so it put things into a different perspective, and it was more aligned with my spiritual awakening than the interpretations of the religion that I had received. And just everything I read from him, I just completely understood. And sometimes, some of the stuff could be quite um, metaphorical or not easy to understand, but I just understood everything and I just fell in love with it. And I discovered my voice on Clubhouse as well. I wasn't very comfortable speaking and stuff, and because there's no image, there's no video, it's just voice. I discovered my voice and I got known for opening rooms and reading Rumi's poetry. And this happened like for months on end, and then someone eventually said, why don't you write your own poetry? And I was like, I don't know how to. um, and I actually started writing another book around my awakening experience because I wanted other people to kind of read it and see if they could maybe relate to anything within it, or if it would spike curiosity in anybody to go on a similar kind of a journey for themselves. And then just at some moment, I realized that I just started writing poetry myself.
Mm.
And a lot of poetry, handwritten in a lot of different places. And at one point when I came unstuck with the book a little bit, I kind of hit a wall. I tried to figure what can I do that I can publish sooner than actually finishing the book because it's maybe taking too long. And I realized I had all of these like small poems written all over the place, and I just
Wow.
put them all together, and I just published the book like last year. And then this year I've also released it in 2 different languages as well, in Spanish and Basque, because the original is in English. I'll send you a copy as well.
Yeah, I'd love to read that. What is your book called?
The Soul's Journey Home.
Soul's Journey Home. We'll definitely put that all in the show notes so everyone can find that there.
And it's like short writings, and it is all about this. It's all about silence, language, the present moment, meditation, nature, and just all of the things that I had to go through or went through in order to kind of arrive at this, this experience. And the only aim is to kind of help others to create that curiosity for people to actually go on that journey of seeking themselves.
Find that so fascinating. You went through this whole self-publishing journey as well. What was that like for you?
It was really interesting. I worked with a book coach. She really helped a lot with some of the stuff, like with accountability, because sometimes it's difficult
Mm,
to keep going and
mm,
and just some of the tools that you need. And it wasn't actually as difficult as I'd thought, And then since then I self-published also in 2 other languages, with the help of the translator as well. But it's been a really fulfilling experience, and because I think a lot of people have got a book in them, and sometimes they just stop, or they don't go. There's procrastination, or they just think it's harder than it is, because it's not like it used to be where you have to find an editor or a publisher.
yeah,
You can actually do a lot yourself now, and I think it's really interesting
I'm
to have done it.
excited. I'm excited I've always thought in my head that I want to write a book, but I don't know what it's on yet. And that's because I know that my experiences are leading up to it, I believe. So there's many things that I'm pursuing before that. But I do feel you're right that everyone has a book in them. We have so much wisdom within us that from our experiences will lead us to share our voice in that way. And an example of that was the other day when I just had this huge download in the sky writing my first blog. And so I really, really do believe that.
Melissa, I don't believe there's any ordinary people. I believe that everybody's extraordinary.
Yes.
And I think the only difference is whether or not your story gets to be told or not. That's the only difference. Like, I don't believe anybody. I think everybody's extraordinary. I think everyone's a miracle. Like, everyone's incredible and has their own story. It's something to tell or to share, which many, many others will resonate with or learn something from. Anybody. I'm talking about literally anybody. And I just feel like, if your story's told, then it's worth being done. Every story is worth being told or listened to, or heard.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating you say that, because like you literally are telling your story because of one man who decided to help people read faster.
Yeah.
And that's now because look where you are now. I find like if he did not step into his purpose in that way, like this conversation might not be happening in
No,
this way.
probably not, Melissa. And the crazy thing, Melissa, he as a kid, he had a brain injury.
Wow.
And at school, he was like pointed at and said that, oh, here's the one with a broken brain and he'll never amount to anything. And that acted as the motivation for him to get to where he got. He goes to Hollywood and teaches Will Smith his lines and stuff. He's just like, he's unbelievable. Like, look him up. It's JIMKWIK, Jim Kwik. He's just incredible. It's extraordinary.
We'll definitely look into that. So I'm putting you on the spot here, but this is what's coming to me. I really would love you to share one of your poems. Do you have one to hand?
Speck of Dust. Have you considered how you're a mere speck of dust in the universe, sat in Mother Earth's loving embrace, revolving forever on this globe, in outer space? When the wind blows and the storm erupts, the dust rises and we all collide. Mixed together, there's nowhere to hide. We're all one when those dust particles unite. We share the same consciousness, in love, and even during a fight. Our forgetfulness may lead us astray from the truth which exists beyond the veil, but point us to our truth for everywhere, like the sound of music in your ear. It matters little how things unfold if you're able to take a distance and remember the truth untold. You're here for a reason, as is all creation. Purpose lies in the heart, in your loving disposition. I hear your voices like distant echoes whispering sweet nothings from days gone by. Appreciation for existence holding the key to the gates of heaven. We learn more during the storm when circumstances seem to be going against us, but everything happens for a reason. The beauty of the candle is only apparent in the dark. Don't despair, just ride out the storm and go back to being that speck of dust again.
So beautiful. What's coming to me from that is the line that you were saying about being in a fight, but we all just basically want the same thing. And I think that's just love. And when we're in this battle against each other, what are we actually fighting for? We're fearing something. And that brings up that debate of like, is it fear or love? And I speak about this quite often as well. And I'd love to hear your take on that. And yeah, what does that mean to you?
I just see it as like consciousness, conscious or unconscious. I just feel like the only split is between somebody who's conscious and someone who's unconscious, and that pull and push, and like you mentioned, the fear and the love. I think it was Neil Donald Walsh who first spoke about it. I watched one of his videos and he was talking about how every other emotion is connected to one of those two fundamental emotions, and it's either love or fear. Because if it's greed or shame or hatred, it's all like attached to fear, and then all the others are attached to love. And for me, the big fear emotion was of death, because I didn't have any faith, and I didn't imagine there was anything afterlife. So there was a lot of fear for me. But when fear was completely removed in awakening, the only thing left was love, and then it kind of became accentuated, like a magnified. Just felt this unbelievable deep love for creation, like for humanity, and service as well, Melissa, like giving, like and going beyond transactional thinking, not expecting anything in return, just like and then what happens is just like kind of spins around the universe and comes back to you like multiplied, like
Yeah,
magnified.
definitely. Where did you have a specific place that you wrote that poem?
A lot of it on planes.
Ah, that's where
I,
my
I,
blog came from, my first blog.
Yeah, because
Tell
I
me that
don't.
earlier.
I'm not a big fan of borders or flags or nationalities or countries or just all of these imagined up separations or
Yeah.
divisions. I think this. I have a thing against flags and nation states and all of this, because
Yeah.
I just feel like we just like all imagined it all up, and how we create these lines to divide and separate us. And
Yes.
look at all of the wars that happen as well. It's like
Yes.
ridiculous over land, because we've kind of imagined ourselves to be owners of the planet. We don't own the planet, but we seem to think we do. Like land and countries and all of this, and we've only been around for a blink of an eye, and we feel like we're the owners of Earth. And so a lot of the inspiration comes when I'm up in the sky, because I feel like I'm free. I feel like I'm not trapped by lines on the ground. And it just feels like, obviously, a lot of it's inspired either from flying, or in nature, like in the forest and stuff, or things like that.
Yeah, wow. I love that. That's so cool. I want to touch on that conversation then that you had with Neil Donald Walsh. Like what happened in that encounter?
He used to have like weekly rooms on Clubhouse. He used to actually come on Clubhouse, and he would discuss conversations with God. He'd get a lot of people. Some people go up to because there's like the audience at the bottom in Clubhouse, and then there's a stage bit where if you want to speak, you have to go up to the top. And then you can unmic and you can speak. And I just got into a chat with him, and I read him a Rumi poem. I read him In the Arc of Your Mallet, which is one of my favorite Rumi poems. And then he just got really emotional. He really enjoyed it. And then I kind of went on and explained what it meant to me. I'll send you I've actually got a recording of it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I'd love to watch that.
And then I kind of explained to him what I'd understood through conversations with God, because I'd read book 1 to 4, and what it meant to me, and his conversations with God, and how it spoke to me in terms of how my upbringing as a child. And I spoke for a minute or two, and he just like took a really deep breath. He was really emotional. He was like going, "Wow." Saying just summarized conversations with God in 2 minutes or something.
Gifted.
It was just like really deep, and I was just like, "Wow, that's Neil Donald Walsh." Because like, I don't know, 26 books or something. I don't know how many millions of books he's sold. Yeah, it's a really touching moment. It's really nice.
Wow. Yeah, because his journey was really incredible as well, where he got to a point, I think, of like homelessness.
Yeah.
And am I remembering that right?
I don't know if that's him or Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart was definitely on a park bench somewhere when he
I
had his
think it was Neil Donald Walsh as well,
as
because I
well.
was listening to a podcast about this with Alex Ferrari on Next Level Soul, and he was talking about that and how if he hadn't have got to that specific point, he wouldn't have, like, his trajectory wouldn't have gone to where he is to write Conversations with God. I've still yet to read that book. That's on my to-do list. I've got about 10 on the go
I'll
at the moment.
definitely recommend that, Melissa. Like
Yeah, I will.
books 1 to 4, they just blew my mind. His
Yeah.
just everything that he channeled, like from God, or the conversations he had, is just incredible, because it just flies in the face of everything you're told through Orthodox religion or how it's
Yeah.
interpreted. And it's just like it's a completely different understanding of
I
what
might
God
I might
actually said.
completely butcher this, but my understanding of it is that we are all God within us, and what we emanate in front of us is also God. So I think that's why I haven't read it until now, but it's still calling me. So on my to-do list, I will do that.
These things, it all just happens when it's supposed to,
Yes.
not sooner or later. Even that post I posted yesterday was all about that. Like sometimes you want things to happen, or you think they should happen, but if it's not the right time, it's not going to happen. It only happens when it's
Definitely.
supposed to, if it's supposed to.
Yes, I really,
What did
really.
he say? He said, your life, he once said, this really touched me as well. He once said on a video, he said, your life is not determined only by what you do for yourself. It's by how you interact with everybody you come into contact with. And he said it might even just like be a kind word or a smile or something. And I take that with me now everywhere I go. Just try to treat everybody the same, whoever they are. You're not like kind of clouded. Your vision's not clouded by somebody who's like really high ranking or has a top title compared to somebody you see on the street. I've just tried to treat everybody exactly the same. Especially, I notice the ones who are suffering the most. Like when I'm going through my daily life, I'm in a big city. Sometimes I'll notice the kid like who's just knocking on windows, asking for money, or someone who's like struggling, and treat everyone the same. Because you don't know often, like the small act of kindness that you have, how it can impact on someone's life, because the ripple effects are just like unimaginable. You just can't imagine how that can change. It can lead them to being nice to someone else, or changing their luck because you've changed their energy.
Yeah,
It's really important to think
100%.
about it.
Definitely. Just before we come to the end of our, I have three final closing questions. I wanted to open up the space to give you some time now to talk about anything that we haven't touched on today that you would love to share.
If anything, Melissa, it's just like why I do what I do, because as far as I'm concerned, I think, there's this impression or this idea that the world is a terrible place right now. And I don't know if it's necessarily as bad as it has been in the past. I just believe that it's more evident, it's more communicated, it's more visual because it's transported all over the place and you can see what's happening everywhere. Whereas back in a long time ago, maybe you just weren't aware of what was happening because it wasn't on your TV screen or on your social media
Yes.
feed. And so I think the world's actually in an amazing place, and it's never been as good as it is right now in terms of the possibilities and the opportunity. So I try to look at it from a positive perspective, and how much we can actually, how much more we can do to make it a better place for everybody, not just the fortunate few. And so that's just what I try to do, because I feel like if the more we self-realize, the more of us that kind of have this kind of a deep internal journey and arrive at a different understanding of who we are, and we understand our connection to everything alive and everybody else, then these kind of things that happen anyway, kind of, we realize it doesn't make sense. The war,
Hmm.
the famine, you just realize that you need to take care of everybody, and that it's not just about how much can I accumulate for myself, because that's not what it should be about, should it? I mean, what are you going to do with all of the stuff you accumulate anyway? You don't
Yeah.
actually need it. And so that's what kind of why I'm really interested in all of this. And it's funny how, in a way, so I've kind of tried to understand how my work can relate to this and whatever, because they're kind of, on
Mm.
the face of it, they're two very different things: professional, elite level sport, and then mindfulness. But then I also get overlaps. I get like people speaking to me within the industry about
Mm.
how they can't disconnect, how they can't spend time with their families, the levels of stress. And then you get
Mm.
top coaches, like some of the best in the world, like Mikel Arteta, speaking about how he meditates for 1 hour after lunch every single day. Thomas Tuchel, the England manager, the other day mentioned how meditation is often as part of his morning routines.
Amazing.
And Luis Enrique, who like walks across the Paris Saint-Germain grass pitches barefoot because he
Love
understands the
this.
benefits of earthing and grounding. So I think, well, actually, maybe they're not that separate. Maybe mindfulness and football can coexist, or
Yeah.
mindfulness actually covers everything. It's not just, it's not just for hippies and people who are just like at festivals and dancing on the beach. Because it actually helps in anybody in any walk of life to be more centered, to be more productive, to be more efficient, and to be able to focus on what's most important, and be the best version of yourself without taking advantage of anyone else, whilst you actually support and uplift other people as well.
Very well said. Very well said. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I want to ask you my final three questions. What's one piece of advice that you'd give someone who's lost and trying to find their purpose?
Look within yourself, because everything's there. Like I could never find my purpose, and then my purpose came to me, but only when I sat for long enough, like Emily taught me through meditation, and look within myself, and everything eventually reveals itself on its own.
Mm. And whether that's through meditation or journaling or asking questions or reflecting on your life or speaking to a therapist or I don't know, maybe a friend who can hold space for you and in a way that's asking questions about you and not about them and what they think of your life, but asking you the questions so that you can ask. I think it's really important. Yes, thank you for sharing that. And where can people find out more about you and the amazing offerings and work that you're doing in the world?
Just on socials, Instagram, YouTube, got my website, HuseyinBikim.com. So yeah, it's quite easy to contact me.
We'll pop that all in the descriptions below. And do you, um, last question, what's one takeaway that you want the listener to leave with?
The we literally create our own reality, you know, like, and we create from the inside out. So the outside world is actually a reflection of how we feel inside about ourselves and about everybody else. And so if you do the inner work and you take care of yourself and you kind of look for the answers within yourself and arrive at a deeper understanding of who you are, and you slow down when necessary, you stop as often as possible and not run for the sake of running, because we don't have to run. You know, it's a narrative that we bought without giving too much thought to it. Then eventually you kind of exist from a different place where you're much more in harmony with yourself and with your environment and with everybody else and with nature, you know, like, and there, all of those things are there, you know, like Melissa said as well, the person who mirrors you, your health, your friend who you can converse with, nature, walking around barefoot, meditating, doing yoga, all of these practices, which can help you to reconnect with yourself, because it's not like you're trying to fix anything that's broken. It's just a process of remembering what we've forgotten. Just basically everybody knows. A lot of people have forgotten, and it's just about remembering what we've forgotten and coming back to ourselves.
Yes, spoken like a true projector. Projectors are meant to rest a lot, and we're meant to also guide others to rest, because we do not have to work so hard. We do not have to push. That is a very masculine energy. We can come back into our feminine, we can rest, and we can create from there in that place. And thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom, for coming on this episode and just giving me so much energy. And I love it. I love these conversations. We'll definitely stay in touch. I love talking about all these sorts of things and hearing just everyone's experiences. I find it fascinating. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Melissa. I've had a really, really amazing time. Honestly, you've really energized me as well. And this is what I love the most, talking about these things, and it's just been amazing conversations. Thanks a lot.
You're so welcome. And thank you so much for listening. I really hope this helps you to shine bright. And if you did enjoy this episode, the best way to show your support, because it really does help the channel grow, is to like this video and share it with someone who you feel that might need to hear it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please click that button, and also comment below with your thoughts and share your voice. It's free, and I really love reading all of your comments and replying to them. So I'm sending so much love. Until next time, see you in the next episode.